Hi there, I'm Sarah Burns, and I've been saying for quite a while that I wanted to do some videos on discussing the symbols of Reiki. And I'm hoping that you find this really informative because I think if you really listen to these with a real open mind, it can really enhance your own energy healing practice. It's going to explain why the five elements are so important in working with the five elements with Reiki. So I'm going to just start today by talking about Cho-Ku-Rei, which many of you probably have just heard of it being called the power symbol. But this symbol is a very deep symbol, and even my explanation is not going to honor everything there is to know about Cho-Ku-Rei. So when you look at this symbol, Cho-Ku-Rei, it just looks like a branch uh, dropping down with three spirals. And it's like, so how can that bring power? But each of those pieces actually do have a true meaning to them. And it comes out of the tradition of Taoism in particular. Um, to start with, Cho-Ku-Rei is actually a talisman. It's a magical script that was written so that laymen would not really have a full understanding of its meaning. It comes out of a dance called the Dance of the Wu, or the Pace of the Yu. And Wu means shaman, and Yu means the first shaman in Taoism, which was Yu was half man, half bear. And this is really important because many years back I was in a shamanic group, and this guy that he's pretty well known in that community was poo-pooing the idea that shamanism had anything at all to do with Reiki, that it was just some new agey concocted thing made up. But it has a lot to do with Reiki. And I think that this is so important for practitioners to understand that that piece of it, because I've talked about this over and over again, that it's irrelevant for you to go out in the world to get 100 symbols. You don't need that. What you need to do is just what a shaman would do, let's say, and that is you find your spirit guides, or in shamanism they work with power animals. But in the case of Reiki, it's a little bit different, because this symbol, the pace of the U, is actually working with the guides in the upper world system. And how this is that that first line actually is the talismanic way of drawing the, the Big Dipper, also known as the Northern Bushel. It's been referred to as the Seven Sages. Sometimes it corresponds with 9 planets. The 9 planets, the stars of the Big Dipper, and sometimes just the 7, but usually just the 7, okay? But that also indicates this number 7, its importance with the planets. So there's a correspondence that how we are influenced by planetary energies in this world. So that first line is actually, that straight line is actually just a magical way of stating the Big Dipper, which in Taoism is their heaven. And so going up into heaven, and I'm going to rephrase that in a minute because that's not correct. It's more like drawing down from heaven, healing energies, higher wisdom, higher beyond human wisdom, okay? And so that dropping down also is part of the dance, where there's like 9 steps down. And then that spiral is only drawn 3 times. And that is the reflection of Earth. And I was looking online just recently for some images of Cho-Ku-Rei, and it was interesting to me the number of symbols that actually started to either do like a 3 1/4 symbol, or sometimes even more. And I know that my teacher originally said just draw it at least 3 times. But the truth is that symbol is earth terrain, that spiral. And the other significance about that is that spiral is drawn counterclockwise, typically when you are getting your Reiki attunement. Now, yes, I know you can draw it both ways, but the purpose of it going backwards, counterclockwise, is really important for energy healers to understand, because in Taoism and in Buddhism and Eastern traditions, the belief is that we are a pure essence, but when we come here on earth, we get shrouded with negativity, negative influences, cloudy emotions that make us impure. So we get shrouded with the darkness of living in this world. And so this drawing this counterclockwise is actually drawn with the sense of returning to our true self, returning to our pure nature of who we are. And so yes, it's true, you can draw it both ways. I've done it myself. But keep that in mind, that what you're doing when you're doing a healing is you are reversing all of the negativity that has been placed on that person. In the drawing of the pace of the U, which is actually a dance that is done by the Taoist priests to draw heaven down into the earth plane. But Cho-Ku-Rei is the drawn version of this. But in that same dance, you will see that at the end of that dance, I was just mentioning the 3 spirals, and then some people draw it back beyond that line again, but the way in the pace of the U is written is that it's drawn with the Big Dipper again being drawn into the hearts per se. So the message here is you're drawing the symbol down from heaven and bringing it into your own heart to give heavenly energy to yourself, to your clients, to your friends, and to your family. And one thing that I have thought that would be really powerful to do as a technique for your own self-healing is to climb up. Maybe backtrace that Big Dipper like they do in the dance, and climb up and connect with each of the stars of the Big Dipper to see what information. Look at those stars as being portals into the other planes of existence. See what information you can get by traveling through those star portals. See if you can find wisdom beings there who are going to directly work with you. Think about which star did you come from when you think about Cho-Ku-Rei. All of these things are very powerful tools, but the key is when you work with this daily and you work with connecting to those stars, then what you're really doing is you're building the power of the energy. I've said this 100 times. You don't need 100 symbols. what you need to do is build the bond with the symbols that have been given to you. Now, I also just want to say on a side note, because I had somebody call me yesterday and was really worried that, because they were evangelistic Christians, what I am doing. And, you know, I don't want anyone coming to me if they are in fear that I'm going to do something negative to them, because that fear that they bring in is only going to get exacerbated, because the energy will bring up what you are thinking about. But I do want to say this, that we all of us of the light believe that there is an upper world, there is higher wisdom beyond human form, and that's what we're working with, things beyond what we're capable of doing on our own. And that's why Cho-Ku-Rei is the power symbol. So if you work on receiving Cho-Ku-Rei down through your crown and into your heart, and you work on not controlling that energy, but rather learning of that energy, go to those stars, see what information you can do, and maybe make that a practice for like 30 days, just to see what qualities that you get from each of those stars. But that's the true power of Cho-Ku-Rei. So even though many people in the weekend workshops just refer to it as the power symbol, this is beyond the power of the world. Now I just want to mention something about how did the pace of the U end up being about heaven. That's an amazing story. And so bear, this part bear, part man, you, the shaman, was presented with this information when he was trying to balance out the 5 elements in the world, because there was a lot of flooding and chaos in the world. And so he was called upon to work with this energy to balance out the 5 elements, because when the 5 elements are in balance, then you are in harmony with your world. And that is the smaller story of you. I kind of take this personally because I do have a limp, and one of my power animals that just showed up and scared the living daylights out of me was a bear. Before I really understood this story, it was a pretty powerful dream I had. But I do walk with a limp myself, and I have been working with Reiki since the 90s, so I kind of like to believe that the shaman you is kind of there in my environment working with me, although I don't converse with him in particular, but I do feel like there's some very interesting synchronistic things about me and bears and Reiki. And so I'm just going to put it out there to you as well. If you have this affinity or have worked with the power animal of a bear, then, and you're doing Reiki, then there may be more of a connection with you, the shaman. So I'm Sarah Burns, and I'm hoping that this was powerful information for you. And I would encourage you also to go and read the stories of you, the shaman, as well as the pace of the U, or the dance of the Wu, which is shaman. And that is how Reiki is connected to shamanism. So thank you very much, and I hope this helped you learn a little bit more about Reiki. Take care. Bye-bye.